So our second guest is Sheldon Inwentash. Mr. Inwentash is a serial entrepreneur, is founder and CEO of 3D Capital, a Toronto-based venture capital firm specializing in investment in the junior resources, blockchain, and artificial intelligence sector. Mr. Inwentash has more than 30 years venture investing experience and has been instrumental in raising 15 billion of capital for his portfolio companies over the last 15 years. So let's welcome Mr. Inwentash. Can I ask you a question? What does blockchain excite you the most, and what driven you from moving from the traditional VC to this sector?
Well, thanks. Thanks for having me here. I'll just say, Jeffrey, if you want to control your own identity, you should look at a recently launched browser by the name of MetaLife, where everything is about controlling and owning your own identity, and there's a significant value proposition there. I want to also say how I got into this space. I feel like it's my first year anniversary. I'm now the age of 1 as a crypto blockchain person. So I think that by the months you value experience, and it's a whole new area, and I think hugely interesting in the efficiencies of businesses going forward. I'm not an extremist, I'm not an idealist, I'm a pragmatist. So everything that I look at has to have a business case and has to have a real solution. And I think that over what I've seen over the last year, I got originally involved in this whole area for 2 reasons. One is I've been extremely, in Canada as a resource company, extremely active in the gold space and found many mines and so forth. And the reason why I did that is I really do believe that there's a fundamental balance sheet problem, let's call it in America. In today's world, America is the world. And what really supports the value of a dollar? It's their ability to print it, and it's their brand and their franchise. So gold has been manipulated for as long as I've been involved in it. And the headwinds are created through futures exchanges and governments that just can't allow gold, because it's a brand, to devalue the thinking that countries can create their own fiat currencies. So that led me to Bitcoin in a very similar way, because I believe that today's generation don't need to hold gold in their hand. They are digital. Millennials are digital. Millennials can go and play Farmville and consider an imaginary cow an asset, and the whole mindset has changed, and digital assets allow you to move things around, whereas gold is archaic, although I believe gold will still, because it's recognized by central banks, I believe that we are going to see inflation, if not stagflation, and the real problem is going to be how do you raise interest rates in that environment when you have debt. So the fact that there's no debt associated with Bitcoin in the same way there was no debt associated with gold is a hedge against whatever financial. Really the world today is kicking the can down the road. That's all it is. So when does that all blow up? No one knows. So from a store of value, I came to the conclusion that Bitcoin was interesting. I'm also, my background is I'm a CPA, and I guess I've always been a closet financial anarchist, in that I could not stand intermediaries, banks. I didn't like to be controlled in how I was going to do business, and I'm a big believer in the blockchain. But I consider Bitcoin and blockchain 2 different discussion points. I believe that with blockchain today, the real next move is a hybrid solution. Not everybody is looking, I know, for the total extreme of decentralization. I don't think that's reasonable in the short run. I believe that the real values are going to be in the businesses that are there today, that are going to become extremely more efficient and valuable because of adoption of the blockchain. And so it's going to be hybrid in a sense. It's going to have to work within a decentralized or a centralized structure. And the one thing that I've seen when I've studied all these companies over the last year is, I've obviously seen the highs and I've seen the lows, and I think that there's a transition going on right now from ideas of technologies looking for a market, and the whole idea that invest because one of the 5,000 Ethereum founders was associated with it, so therefore it's a good investment. I believe we're now getting into real money is looking at blockchain and the space, VCs, institutions, and what they see is they view this as any other business. And it is any other business, but it's disruptive in the way it's going to be approached, and it's going to be like many other things in history, whether it be the Industrial Revolution, where things became more efficient. So I am noticing a number of companies now that have been stealth because they did not want to get caught up in all the BS that's going on, and are coming out with real business models and real management teams. If you don't have a management team, at the end of the day, these are businesses, and they have to be run like a business. So you can't just sort of go, well, it's got all these features, so therefore I'm going to get involved. Well, that's a short-term thinking standpoint. I think that the money that's entering the space now, I'll call it VC money and institutional money, and money that has been in the so-called blockchain or crypto space that has been successful, have had failures, and really understand how to look at the value proposition. Everybody are making slower decisions today, but better decisions. And these are because businesses have a long lifeline, and I believe that there's going to be companies that just outsize conventional companies that exist today because of the addition of the blockchain recipe, if you will. And so I believe that we're entering a great period, but it's not going to be a hype period. And I think that you're going to see a lot of names that you've never heard of that have, there's one that I'm involved with even here in South Korea. The previous deputy prime minister of Korea joined the board of it, and it's basically involved in the supply chain side of the business, one of many applications, eliminating leakage. And these corporations immediately understand the value proposition there of where they're going to benefit to create these bridges. It's a company called Toda and Toda Q, and they've been stealth for 3 years. They didn't want to even commingle with the crypto community because they had their own ideas of what they wanted to develop. So I'm extremely excited. I'm morphing into it in the sense that, looking for best of breed. And typically, I like to get behind one and help create strategic partnerships and become a value-added investor.
Okay, thank you.